This passage ends on kind of a cliffhanger. An entire community has just witnessed God move in an unthinkable way. They saw a man who had been dead for 4 days walk out of his grave, and this man named Jesus was responsible for all of it. And word ends up getting back to those in power in the Jewish community. The leaders of the Jewish community then start to plan and scheme and plot on how they might arrest Jesus. I think it's easy to look at the Pharisees and the chief priests and judge these Jewish leaders. But before we judge them too quickly, we do the same thing that they did. The truth is, as human beings, we prefer to be in control. When God's moving in a way we don't understand, and especially when He's moving in a way that threatens our control or our preferences, we take matters into our own hands time after time. The chief priests and the Pharisees decide to arrest Jesus, and that's easy for us to judge. But what do you do when things don't go according to your script? How do you take matters into your own hands when Jesus isn't moving in a way that lines up with your preference? What I find so astounding about God is that He will not force His way or His will on us. He will let us make decisions that put us in the driver's seat instead of Him. He will let us manipulate and subjugate His preferences. Why? Because He loves us, and love doesn't force itself on the object of its affection. But we know the story, and we know how it ultimately ends. The Jewish leaders arrest Jesus, and ultimately they have Him crucified. They end up getting their way in this situation, or so they think. What I love about God is even when we insist on getting our way, He gets His way in the end. He takes our poor decisions and our disobedience and makes it a part of His plans and His purposes. Jesus was arrested by the Jewish leaders and was crucified because they took matters into their own hands. He rose from the grave 3 days later to ultimately forgive their sins and provide a way for them to be invited into eternal relationship with God. Jesus takes our worst decisions and all our greatest disobedience, and He weaves it into the greatest story that any of us has ever heard or ever known. I guess the question is, how have you seen God take your mistakes and your disobedience and your desire for control and ultimately in the end use it for your good and His glory? I want you to think about your life and your testimony and write a prayer of thanks for how faithful God has been to transform your mistakes into His greatest story in your life.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you subscribe so that you can get more content as we all together learn to live and love like Jesus Christ.